Hey, this is Burnett with the Buyer's Box podcast, and today we have a very special guest, Kara Henshaw from Indiana. Hey, Kara.
Hello, everyone. How is everyone doing today?
Good, great. It's a great day. Only thing is it's raining. The power keeps going out, so I'm just hoping and praying that this podcast records properly. So,
Well,
Kara is our agent.
surprisingly enough, Indiana is shining with sunshine and blue skies. Not normal.
You're kidding me. We we went out there for Christmas, and when we got home, I was like, "Oh my God, the sun! There's no
Yeah,
sun in Indiana."
yeah, very true. Well, didn't mean to sidetrack us. Keep going.
It's okay. So, Kara is our real estate agent out in Indiana where we buy investments, and she's also done some listings for us. And that's why I wanted to bring her on our show today. I know it's typically buyer focused, but we're going to take a little pivot, talk about listings. So, Kara, you get your listing agreement signed, you're thinking about listing it. Talk me through the whole process from the time the agreement's signed up until you do your video and your marketing.
Okay, so there's different scenarios, obviously, because you can have a listing you're competing with, right? And you can have a listing that you know you're going to get because it's someone that you know, you past client sphere, whatever it may be. So I may do different scenarios in those, depending on who that type of client is. But basically, I will go into a listing agreement, and I'm old school. I am old. So
Oh,
I like to literally, if I know I'm getting the listing, I will actually have videos, photos, all that planned before I actually go into the appointment. And I usually will do them at the same time. If I am competing, for example, I will go in with a market analysis and I will have a whole seller presentation and all the documentation for the listing, which is all the paperwork, depending on the state that you're in, it's required. And I will sit down and go through all of that. And then I will schedule based off the timeline and when I can get my photographer and videographer there at the time. So I will come in with a CMA, which everybody, I assume, would do that. We use that matters to anyone. Love it. It's just really good and puts a very professional presentation together. In addition to that, we also have our, I don't know if I have a copy here. I might have a copy.
okay.
See if I can show you. We have a book. See, I had to leave here for a second. This is
Wow.
our thing. Give it to all of our agents. It's pretty much standard. You can give it to them. You can keep it as a presentation. It's just if you don't have a computer, you can grab it out of your car. And if you know you're going to be competing, you can just slide it out and have a presentation. So this is kind of what we have in place of that. Um, so after I go through that, then I pretty much will, go through the pricing and then decide what we're going to do in price mode if they're agreeing to go with me. And then we go through all the legalities of all the paperwork, depending on the state that you're in. So I usually won't date my contract until I can figure out exactly when I get the photographer in there, because I do all professional photography. I love video, so I do video and everything, and I make sure it comes up very professional. So that is, I guess, a very short and sweet. If you want me to get into more detail, let me know. It's just kind of hard because it's a generic question. So,
Sure. Oh, yeah, we go on the nitty-gritty over here. So,
okay, well, then dig me in because I don't know where you want me to go.
poor Kara, I put her on the spot. So, you have the agreement signed and you want the homeowner to prep the house. Talk me a little bit through like what's your prep list? What are you asking them to do?
So when I go, actually, see, I skipped. You have to get me into more detail. When I actually go in the house before I start anything, I actually will do a walkthrough of the home, especially if I don't know it. I love the owners to tell me what they love about it because that kind of emotionally you understand how they're attached to it as well. And so I go through all the house before I do sit down and actually do all the paperwork and everything. One thing that we do, and as I walk through the house, I ask them what they like, just so I know what their love attachment to the house is before I actually sit down and actually go through all the market analysis, the selling presentation. After that, especially as I'm building rapport, and I can tell that they need help, we have a whole what they call preparing the, and I can give you a copy of this so you can give the link to everybody.
Yeah.
Preparing the home for the market. It is literally a checklist. And I'll give you an idea just from showings all the way to just, I'll give you a page to see if I can find a picture that
You're
helps.
so put together. I love it.
So, like, literally every room has a checklist for the homeowner to go through before we get it on the market and
Wow.
take photos. So, like, it's your interior, your kitchen, your closets, your your yard, everything, outside, front door, it's all in here.
You
So.
did do that with us actually, now I think about it, because we had to go back a couple times since they were far away. We had to send our maintenance guy back out.
So that's what I would give them to kind of do as a checklist to get everything ready. And then from a staging perspective, if we want to talk staging, I don't stage every house, and it's really hard to stage houses that are already living in. So it really depends on the house if you're going to stage it or be able to bring in staging if they're living in it. If it's a house I feel like I can work with, and I feel like just a few little tweaks of staging will help, I'll bring in someone that I know that is good at decorating basically and have them use mostly what they got, just rearrange it, and then maybe put a few little things in that are just cutesy stuff that helps just make it look a little bit more warmer. But I personally will go through the house and the declutter, if everybody knows declutter, right? That's an easy thing. But I will also say get rid of certain furniture, put it in storage, put it in the garage, get everything off your counters, bathrooms, kitchens. I like clean slate when I take pictures. The front porch is important to me. Like clean it up. If it needs paint, if it needs pressure spraying, that's the first impression. So I will literally go through the house room by room and tell them exactly what to do before we do photos. If even if I'm not staging, but more just clean up in the look I want. And then if you are having an empty house or a builder or whatever it may be, I do have a stager that comes in and helps with certain things like that. Fortunately, I'm lucky I have an agent that loves to do that. So we split the commission is how that works. So if you have someone in your office that is good with that skill, that's something to think about. It's an easier way to do it without putting the money out up front. But before that, I actually used to go in, especially for the builders, I would go into the rent to not to rent to own, but where you could rent furniture, the stores. And I'd literally bring in the couches and some of the big furniture, not anything great, big, but just enough to give it some feel.
Yeah.
And then I went into the TJ Maxx. I got a blow up mattress. That's what you do with the double blow up mattress. That's what you do for those rooms that you want to put a master bed in. You get some rugs, you get some little knickknacks for the bathrooms, towels. It really doesn't take much just to give it a little bit of a feel, honestly, from a standpoint of you doing it yourself if you don't have anyone in your area to do it. So you just need the big stuff that you may not want to own. If you want to get into it, yeah, go buy it, but I don't want to buy it. I don't want to store it. So, sometimes going to rent from the furniture stores is an option to do that. And if you get a good relationship, maybe you can get a deal if you're doing it enough. So
Sure.
something to negotiate.
That makes sense. And just curious, and maybe there's not an answer to this. Is there a certain theme that you kind of go with, like farmhouse or contemporary? Like, what have you seen shows better? I guess it maybe depends on the home.
I think it probably depends on the home, but I kind of stay in that I wouldn't say farm. It's more straight lines and modern, but not necessarily ultra modern. It's more just traditional straight lines that can go either vibe depending on the house. Especially if you're buying your own furniture, you want to be versatile. So honestly, if you follow along and see the houses that we do stage, it all has that same theme with different homes. So, if I got into a really old farmhouse, I might have to look at it a little differently. But most of them are all flipped homes or new construction, so they're going to be a little bit more modern furniture, not that strange look that I don't know what to do with.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah. That makes
In
sense.
general, that's the theme. So, not ultra modern, but straight lines and simplicity, really.
Okay. Okay. So you got your house cleaned out or staged. You have your photographer lined up. Talk to me a little bit about some of the things that you tell agents to ask the photographer to do. What are you doing? Talk to me about the videos.
So I love video. I've done video for a long, long time. And video really isn't hard. I think people are just scared. And, some people like to do talking through their video and some like just talking intros. And if you're an agent that's just scared to death to do video, because there's a lot of them,
Yeah.
um, you don't have to talk, but you do want to show who you are, right? You do want to present yourself as the listing agent and that you're attached to this video. Don't just throw a video out there with your face not in it.
Or my favorite's the phone video where they're like this, like, look at my new listing.
Yeah, like put your face in it. You don't have to talk. I mean, honestly, there's so many creators that have some great listing videos. Just go find one and literally replicate it from a standpoint of like the style of what they did or how they showed up. I mean, it could be different music, but it gives you an idea of like what you can do without having to be overly complicated. Like you don't need to talk. If you don't want to talk, go look at a lot of videos out there and get a scenario of a video that you can copy that makes you not talking, but still shows who you are. If you're comfortable with talking, then you can do a lot of things where you're splitting the video up with you talking in sections throughout the house. Or you can just do a narrative through the whole thing. It just depends on how comfortable you are. It depends on time, to be honest with you. Sometimes I don't have time. So though I don't like the talking one, so I can get there really quickly, show my face, and out the door I go. But if you have more time and you're getting more new into, you want people to really, see you, then talking through your video is not a bad thing at all. It's probably better than not talking. But I have a videographer and I have editors in house. So I am a little spoiled from that perspective. But there's a lot of apps out there, and honestly, CapCut alone, you can do it yourself if you really need to. It just takes a lot more time from that standpoint. But most of the videographers will do videos. You just got to play around and find the ones that do your style. I find that a lot of the videographers are very different styles, very different way they shoot. I kind of know what I like. I like fast-paced videos. People are very short-minded. They only can watch long and off they go. So I like to keep them in a minute. I like them to be fast and fast-paced that gets the attention, but keeps them there and not off the video and maybe show some interest. So I like the drone shots. I like coming back in. I like kind of the walkthrough speed ups, but then some close-ups of some neat stuff. I do a mix personally.
Yeah, I've noticed that in your videos. Like it'll kind of go like zoop, zoop, zoop. Like
Yeah.
sometimes
And
like
then you'll just see like an air like something that's neat. And then you're back to kind of the walkthrough. And then yeah, that's me because I think it makes it interesting. It keeps people on the video and not just like even if they're not looking for a house, it keeps them on the video because it's neat. It's a neat video. So
yeah, your videos are awesome. And one thing I've noticed, and I don't know if I can necessarily say that I would ever do it, and I don't think you have done it, but like the dark humor videos, there's this guy in our market who, and we're friends with him, and he does all these crazy dark humor videos where he like jumps across like the granite, and he's like, whee! And like like
I've done a few of the like the where they whisper into the microphone and
yeah,
where I was hiding and saying guess where I'm at. I've done a few of them.
yeah,
But in general, it's not really my personality. That is a good point because one thing that I would recommend is stay with your personality on your videos. Don't try to be something you're not. If you're a humorous person, it won't be weird for you to have humor in your videos. The only thing I do say is make sure whatever you're going to do, if it's humorous or funny, uh, talk over with your seller because some sellers may get offended by it. It may not be their personality.
sure,
So it doesn't mean that you can't do it. It's just like kind of feel out what your seller is all about, depending on the type of video you're doing, just to make sure that you don't make them unhappy. Because I've done that once. I did one that had a little humor in it and they weren't happy. And so I learned my lesson. I will always, if I'm going to do anything humorous or not traditional, I will always ask the seller if that's okay with them so that they're not upset with me.
sure. No, that makes total sense. Yeah, and his have cuss words too, which I like it's funny when you're watching them, but I'm like, oh my gosh, no,
Yeah.
but it's who he is. So like I agree with that. Like try to, do things because ultimately like what we tell our agents is when somebody hires you, they're hiring you because you're you.
Yeah.
Not because you're
So
somebody
stay
else.
true to you on video for sure. Don't try to mimic someone else because it won't feel right if that's
Yeah,
what you're doing. So,
absolutely. Okay, so talk to me a little bit about like the long form content, short form content. Where are you putting the videos? How are you using all the footage to market the property and the listing?
so I do mainly short form for all the listings themselves. I don't do a lot of unless I just have a really high end one that I want to get out there and I want to put on YouTube, I might stick it in long form. But in general, most of mine are all short form. I put them on Facebook.
Okay.
I put them on TikTok. I put them on Instagram. We even put them on LinkedIn because I think people do look at videos on LinkedIn, and that's relocation. Um, we also, once I get it on Facebook, I do run ads against the house, especially against the audience that follows me already, so that they get retargeted with all my stuff. Plus, new within the area of what 20, 30 minutes. So they're getting two different audiences. I run two ads, I guess a
Okay.
retarget and then a new where it's at, 30 minutes for new people.
Okay.
Um, and I run that for, I don't know, maybe 5 to 8 days, just to make sure I get visibility on the house and me as well. So it's kind of marketing for myself, not only for the house. So I do run sponsored ads, which that would be Facebook and Instagram together when they run. And then I also, one reason I like to do the minute or less is I do Zillow Showcase.
Okay.
And with Zillow Showcase, that's how you get your video there because otherwise there's no other place you can't find videos on Realtor or Zillow. But if you do Showcase Zillow, it has to be under a minute or roughly a minute. And you can easily get, if you go on Showcase, it's the first thing they see is the video pops up. So it's, especially if you're wanting to market as a listing agent, it's a really good marketing tool when you go in to get listings is the Zillow Showcase. And so that's another place I put the videos. Now I do not put them on TikTok because I really, or not TikTok, YouTube. I am a YouTube person, but it's more truly for relocation. And so I keep all the house videos, all the short form off of it. I don't think it does well there. And I really just focus on relocation videos. I might highlight clips that I took from it in my videos, but I don't ever just put the reels or anything that I make for all the short form and other platforms on YouTube. So I don't do it there. I just more use the clips for my relocation videos.
Sure.
So
And that's the same thing that Ross Hardy does. We had another episode where Ross came on and he kind of talked about his equipment, his YouTube channel, how he set it up. And so it seems like you're operating in a very similar way there. Like he doesn't have any videos that are like, look at my new listing. It's
yeah,
all like content driven. The person that's thinking about moving, not the person that's in the buying phase at that time.
correct. And one thing that like I might do, here's 3 neighborhoods in my talk, and then I'll bring houses that I have had video that I've done into those mixes in that video. So I do use the video, it just may not be the same way.
Okay. And my last question for you is we talk a lot on our podcast about time blocking and fitting things in because if you don't time block and you don't put on your schedule, it's not going to happen. So talk to me a little bit about, of course, with listings, sometimes they're last minute, sometimes they might be a week before. So how are you time blocking all this into your schedule? Because you're a busy lady.
I try to time block, to be honest with you. I should say I probably plan within days ahead, and
Okay.
and I will look at like what I'm doing. I tried. I There's certain things that I will do. I mean, I always try to do my calls and everything in the morning, and as the day proceeds, I have different things. It's been harder and harder because I'm managing, almost 90 agents, 80 agents, to time block as much as I used to. I'm trying to go back to it to create not so much chaos, but it's been hard just because of the support staff perspective and not the real estate side. So the mix has been a little bit difficult because I do still love to sell real estate. And some people that are at my level in the brokerage is not selling real estate. So it would probably be easier for me to time block different things. And I'm trying to do in both worlds if I was doing one or the other, if that makes sense. But usually I time block most of my stuff to try to get done in the morning before I start running because at 10 o'clock, 10:30, I'm out the door running. If it's not agents, offices, it's clients, listings, showings, whatever it may be. But I'm very good about planning all my listings way ahead. So like it's not usually like, oh, tomorrow I'm going to get a listing. Like I'm going today and I have 2 listing videos and I knew this last week. So like I really do plan ahead more like if you look at it like 3 days ahead. I'm looking at my schedule and cleaning it up and putting what I need where I need it, deleting stuff off or reorganizing and then time blocking more from a not a weekly perspective, but a few days ahead. Does that make sense? Because
Yeah, no,
time block is not always going to be the same. It's like I'll time block looking at 2 days ahead, saying, I know I need to do calling for recruiting. I'm going to stick it here when I know 3 days ahead. That's where it makes sense in my schedule. So
sure.
I'm
Yeah.
not as organized as like it's this time every day. I'm not that way. It's just
Yeah.
too hard for me to be that way. I time block where I see the need and do it a few days ahead, and I time block it when I know I need to do and when it's coming, and I'll time block it that way on my calendar.
Sure. It sounds like you said today you're doing two in a row.
Yeah, I have a closing and then I have 2 of those and then I have to do my calls. So I'm like, today my calls, I know I couldn't do it today because I had to do you and I was showing at 8 and then I have a closing and then I have 2 videos. I will probably do like my recruiting calls and everything at 3:30. Like I actually stuck it in my schedule that the late afternoon will be what I typically do. Maybe in the morning is going to be this afternoon. So
Sure.
I
And
just kind of have to look at my days.
Yeah, and it's like that sometimes. And I appreciate you so much for coming on our podcast and sharing with us about your videos. And after the podcast release, I'm going to release an ebook. We'll add in some of your listing checklists. We'll also put some links to some of your videos. So I'll let you and Lisa pick the best videos, the ones that you love the most. We'll showcase those. And if anybody wanted to contact you or maybe join your team, how would they reach out to you?
812-686-3268, or you can find me, Kara Henshaw, Indiana. If you Google that on any of the socials, you'll probably find me.
Cool. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, and I will talk to
You're
you soon.
welcome. I can't wait to see you again.
I know.
I'll talk to you later.
Okay.